All right. Give it a couple seconds. Especially if I do the usual intro with chimes and the purr and the bell. Anyway, hey guys, Shane here, dailyastrocat.com. Here with this week's astrological insights. Now, got a couple of them for you. And yeah, I haven't gotten rid of my handheld microphone yet because why? It sounds good. It may go in my face like that. But, hey, let's talk about this week. We're going to talk about the week of July 21st. That's going to be this Sunday. That's Sunday, and it's going to go into the next week. I number them by the numbers, so this is week 30. So we're talking about week 30 here. Let's quickly share this stuff, and let's go. All right, so let's share. Let's share that. We're sharing. Ta-da! Okie dokie. So here we go. There's the terrible picture that I have that I just can't seem to get right because the little bite out of the top of the head. That's kind of funny, right? All right. So let's talk about this. The full moon coming on Sunday. The full moon's going to be in Capricorn. It's the second one. Now, I've got a lot to say about this, but I want to try to keep it as simple as possible. What we're looking at here with this full moon is we're realigning where we were at. Now, the last time we were at this point was back in 2023 in April, May, because we were in that Taurus season. So the Taurus season had 2 new moons on it. Now, since then, we've had the culmination before the new moon. So we would have the full moon, say, in the opposite sign before we had the new moon in the sign the sun was actually in. So let's think about that. So now we flip that around. If you think about April of last year, perhaps, right around that time, right around March, April, right when we started feeling that stuff, we would notice that we would, towards the end of March and early April and all that stuff, we would have noticed that things would have started to get off kilter, out of organization. As a matter of fact, I personally speaking now, I was very organized heading into this period. And then all of a sudden I had people sick at work. People were out. I had other things that were happening that were out of my control, but it was just things that were not in the normal of what was happening. Because before, it was difficult, but I was able to keep everything together. And so then as a consequence, as things start to slide, it just affected me professionally in a way that it didn't before. And I don't understand, and I didn't understand at the time what it was. And now that I'm looking at this right here with this astrology on this, let me get me off of there. Goodness gracious, we don't want to look at that. We want to, I just want to talk about trying to realign our lives with the moon's natural cycle. And that's really what I want to talk about, because it feels to me like this is a period of new realignment. Now, this is going to, I believe this lasts about another 14 months, and then we're going to flip back. All right. So it's about 14 months because it backtracks by about a day a month. So now we're going to have a full moon in Capricorn, and then the next lunation we're going to have is the new moon that's going to occur in Leo. And then following that, we'll have the full moon in Aquarius. So that's going to set some things right. Now, it's kind of interesting because before it felt like we were kind of like going into the months going, we're trying to culminate, as we're going into a cycle, we're just entering that, and then it was off track. And I don't mean a month, I mean a month. I'm talking about the natural cycle of things. And it just felt like it was strained, it was pushed. Even as good as the eclipse may have felt or could have felt, it didn't. It really messed with things in a weird way. It should have been a chance for us to really focus and get moving, but really what happened was it just kind of highlighted a certain level of disorganization that was there, and it's only gotten worse. We're not even talking about national stuff. We're talking about just regular stuff. Now, look at this nicely arranged apothecary shelf. I found that, right? A little herbal apothecary. Don't worry, it's not real. It's an AI image. None of those labels are real, but it looks good, right? So anyway, here's my messy bookshelf. This is what my life felt like. It felt like this messy, messy bookshelf. And now I feel like I want to organize things. So now we're going to try to get a nice organized look. Look at how beautiful that is. Oh, my goodness. My life is never that organized. You should see my desk. It does not look like that. And I could not possibly have candles. Well, there is a candle on it. So at any rate, yeah. So let's talk about this, because we're entering this phase where we can be intuitive, but we can also be aligned with what it is that we want to stand for, what it is that we want to project, what it is that we believe in, because we have Neptune hanging out at that anaretic degree, right at the cliff of what do you believe in? What do you believe in before you go forward and you take that plunge off into Aries? What is it that you're seriously trying to accomplish? What are your goals, and how much of yourself are you willing to commit to it, and what are you willing to give up in order to do it? Now, there's some pretty important questions there, because we've been giving things up as we go along the way. And as this, say for example, this offering right here, dailyastrocat.com, very different than what it was a year ago, very different than what it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago. Okay, it's been around for that long, trust me. But it's always changing and morphing and doing different things. And this way here, we're just talking about, what we're talking about is we're talking about evolution. We're talking about the how we constantly improve or try to make things better. And we're also talking about astrological things. And these things are tried and true because we're living through them, right? We can test them. There's some empirical evidence for them, because as we move forward, we have more of a baseline to compare ourselves to. That's why it's so much easier to do astrology when you're older than it is when you're younger, because you just don't know what those things mean. Exactly. So look, first thing we're going to talk about is this new moon in Capricorn. Look, there's my Capricorn. I did that with an AI. That's actually an AI too. I didn't feel like trying to grab a free image. So, and here's what the chart looks like for it. Now, this is the chart for the East Coast of the United States, because this is where I live, and this is what I do. Now, if you notice, I made my arrow a little bit bigger for you. That's kind of a fancy innovation, right? Okay, so we have the moon opposing the sun. So we have the sun right here, and we have the moon right over here, directly across. Now, pay no attention to clock faces, because this doesn't matter. So the sun is at 29 degrees. That's, even if you remember correctly, that 29th degree is the anaretic degree. 29 degrees of Cancer. So Cancer is that home feeling, that secure feeling, the emotional place, the place where we come from. We're defensive. We try to gather some strength from it. It's also an initiator sign, and it's a sign. It's a cardinal sign, so we can't deny that. So we have some strong memories affixed to that. And there's been some strong stuff happening this week, and we're going to get into that as well, only because that's that Uranus-Mars thing sitting up here, with Uranus being conjunct Raza Guo, as they call it, or Beta Persei, or the blinking eye of the demon, or the Medusa head. So the star Algol has a very, very not nice reputation attached to it, and that manifested itself in the past week. This week here, you can see where they're separating. But right now, we're going to talk about this line, this opposition line between Pluto and the moon conjunct in what appears to be, let's call it, if we look over here at the chart, we see less than the first degree and the 29th degree. So we got to back it up a little bit. The moon moves so fast that it will actually, it's not hitting quite that degree that Pluto's in, but the orb is big enough that they are both opposing the sun. Now, Pluto in the sign of Aquarius is that innovation. It's what we do. It's eccentricity. It is a common good. It's a sign for the common good. And the common good being society in general. That's what Aquarius is involved with. That's what Aquarius is concerned with. That whole age of Aquarius stuff is how society becomes a better place. Now, it becomes a better place not with Pluto backing up into Capricorn, because Pluto into Capricorn is where we were at for the last 20 years. And that was .com, before the .com bubble. There was another banking crisis. There was another crisis. There was some bailouts in there. And we've had all of these, we had assault weapons reappear on American streets and shootings go up and everything. So we have these things that are working over here that have Pluto. Now, when Pluto went into Aquarius, we saw the rise of AI a little bit. We've also seen protests and everything. That is when we started talking about artificial intelligence, and we had some things that were going on. And now that we've seen Pluto heading back into Capricorn, that Capricorn is that repression that we're seeing. It's that turn that the United States Supreme Court is taking that's not quite originalist by any stretch of the imagination. They've put some curious interpretations in there as far as what's permissible and what's not permissible. Yet we seem to be having women's rights being eroded at an alarming pace, and the life of a woman is not really given much shrift, is it? So we have to really think about those things, because we do not want anybody to have their health be put in peril by just because what gender they are. Okay, because that doesn't make any sense. So we have to be able to use common sense and rationality. Now, what does this have to do with the astrology here? Well, that's basically telling us that we have to think about these things. The sign over here of Cancer, that's motherhood. All right, that's the family, that's mother, that's the moon. The moon is the mother. That's the sign of the moon. The moon is said to represent the mother. The sun represents the father. But the sun is in the house of the mother, right? And if mom is not happy, nobody's happy. All right? So we have to come to some kind of arrangement where these two can meet and just get themselves straightened out. And the way that we do this is by setting this natural cycle to rights once again. So we'll have the new moon preceding the full moon. This is the full moon right here. When the new moon comes around, it will be that new moon. So what else do we have going on here? Well, let's take a look, because after that we have a Venus-Jupiter sextile. And is that on the same day? It could very well be. And it is not. It is on the same day. Now, what we're talking about here is we're talking about Venus and Jupiter in a 60-degree sextile. Now, 60 degrees, that's a little arc, correct? All right, so Jupiter and Venus. Now we have a chart for that as well. Now, this is on the 27th of 1643. So it is a little bit after that whole thing. All right, so let's talk about this because, all right, so back after a quick break, I had a little bit of coffee, got to talk to Carrie, get to greet her and everything like that, and get a chance to get my head together on this. Look, this Sunday that we have coming up has no less than 5 important aspects, and actually 6 if you count the moon going into Aquarius, which it does. The full moon occurs at 6:17 in the morning, and at 7:43 in the morning, the moon enters Aquarius. So you've got a lot of activity going on. You can see that this is set for 4:43 in the afternoon, and this is when Venus is actually sextile Jupiter. Now, not only do we have that, but we have the moon that just entered, and you can see how fast the moon moves here because that was a new moon back here, and the sun's at 29 degrees of Cancer. It would have been at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and then just swung over here, and the moon is already at 5 degrees. So that's 6 degrees in the course of, not even 10 hours, 11 hours. So the moon makes quite a quick clip around this wheel here, which represents our world. This would be where it's nighttime. This is daytime, so this is an afternoon chart. So you can see the sun right up here, and it would set right over here where Jupiter is. Jupiter is just setting right now. Mercury is going to set way after the sun. So this is a good time to get out there with a high-powered binoculars or something and try to find Mercury on the horizon just as the sun sets. It's not going to be dark enough, but it can be done. You can try to get to do it. It doesn't really show up too brightly. Now, moving right along, we have Jupiter in Gemini. We have Venus in Leo. We know that air and fire signs get along together, and there's a sextile there. That's that little yellow line that's represented by that yellow line right there. So we have them right at these degrees. You can see this one's kind of throwing you off, but you can see they're about 12 degrees. So they're 12 degrees of their respective signs. And we have Venus in Leo. Leo is that proud, that courageous, that natural born leader. All right. We have a woman coming to the forefront, expanded by Jupiter. Is that what we're seeing? Are we seeing this? Are we seeing these ideas starting to circulate based around this? Could be. We're starting to hear a lot of talk about it, particularly here in the United States. For you, that can be some of your creativity. We had that creativity here. We had that back here in this maternal sign. And let's just, Venus in Cancer, she was kind of laid back, kind of complacent, right? She really didn't have much to do with us or for us when she was in Cancer. Now, we could have really leaned back and took advantage of it, particularly if we were really clued into some of the things that were happening, that were driving us, that were pressing on our minds. But we had a chance to consolidate some stuff and get some things together and just feel better, right? Because that whole 4th of July thing was about making memories and just getting together and having some family together. And we're leaving that time of memories now. You can see the sun right here at the Antarctic degree. We're done. We're going to be getting into the, hey, look at me, those pictures. Now we're no longer reviewing the pictures. We're taking new pictures of flexing on the beach, okay? Basically, that's what it means. Of course, I don't know anybody who flexes on the beach, and oh my goodness. But something along those lines. So anyway, and we can see that there's the trine right here, this grand trine with dark moon Lilith, Mars, and Pluto. And Pluto is joined with the moon right now. So we are in the mood for making some stuff happen. We're in the mood for putting some desires into place. We're in the mood for utilizing technology to our advantage. We may not have done so before, but we're thinking about it. We're moving towards it. And we can really do that. Now, you can see that some people are using tech to some extreme advantages, and they're using it to push extreme points because Pluto is extreme. Just like Uranus is extreme. Uranus is still conjunct with Mars. So Uranus can very well be included in this triangle here. Some extreme things going on, extreme wants, extreme needs. But these are all balanced out by Neptune. So we have to take that watery perspective and that sensitive perspective, and that is it's not a super female perspective, but it's an overarching respect for our own spirituality and our well-being and what it is that we want to do. We do not want to go down the rabbit hole of vice. We want to stay on the side where we're affecting change, and we're affecting meaningful change through the things that we do and the things that we believe in, which is this spot right here, what we believe in. That's a belief. Okay, so let's move on. So now we've got our next big one is the Sun trine Neptune. This is the same day. Can you believe that? This is only 5 hours later, right? If it's 4 o'clock, 5, 9, nope, 6, 7. This happens at 11:25 in the evening. And now we got this all marked up for you because I wanted to show you this. Because we have Neptune here. And Neptune is sitting at 29 degrees of Pisces, and it's retrograde. So it's been there since July 1st. It never made it into Aries. It just knocking at the door. And now it's backing up very slowly. Like one of those beep, 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 big truck backing down the street. Only even slower than that. So we have Neptune here at the 29th degree. Now look at all the blue arrows around the outside. We have Pluto, which is at the 54th minute of Aquarius. So that's going to be entering the 29th degree very soon. We have Mars at 0 degree, just entered Gemini. Just entered Gemini. Mars just got into Gemini. We're starting to free our mind, right? Our mind before was on our money. Now our mind is on ideas. It's on talking about our ideas. It's about communicating our ideas. That's what it's about, right? So then we have the sun at the 29th degree. That's an energetic degree of Cancer. Interesting, right? So now we have all those emotions and those memories and those defensive feelings and stuff coming up. And, we're going to give certain power to some things. What are we giving power to? What are we giving power to? What is this axis here going to have us communicate with? Is it going to be this desire right here? These are two very, this is a very female sign. This is the darker female. This is the desire. This is what the patriarchy wants you to believe is the rebellious woman, but she's actually the doing it my way woman, okay? This is my way. Yeah, that's what she's doing. And she's also, see the blue arrow? She is at 2 degrees of Libra, so just left that energetic degree right on that cusp line. And in this case right here, not that it applies because this is this is not where you would use the clock face. However, if you check this out, this is the midheaven right here, and this is the noon point, and that's the midnight point down here. The midheaven is always aligns with our goals and where we want to be headed, and it's the cusp of the 10th house right here. So you can see this between the 10th and 11th, that is exactly where that midheaven is, but that midheaven is, she's conjunct with it, but the midheaven itself actually happens to be in the 29th degree of Virgo, okay? And you can see that makes a trine with the Mars in the 29th degree of Taurus, which is not quite there, but, the orbs make it happen, all right? So we don't really look at it that way, but we can see where that desire is feeding into our actions and where we want to be speaking so that we can make our actions happen, okay? We also see that we have a Mercury and Uranus square. That's this red line right here. Mercury's right here, Uranus is right here, so a square is a hard opposition. It's like a stop. It's like there's a conflict there. There's a conflict between what's being said and what transpired, perhaps, when Mars and Algol were conjunct. That's a good way to look at it, right? What's being portrayed publicly, what's being said, what people are saying about it, what they're posting about it. This is very, very... And this is an interesting thing. We're going to get back to this point, too, because Mercury and Uranus being in this square position is very interesting, and they're going to be in this position 2 more times because Mercury is going to go retrograde on the 5th of August. And once Mercury goes in the retrograde on the 5th of August, it's going to pass over this point a couple of times. So we're going to be distilling this point down, this occurrence, this action, this activity, and really just communicating things about it. There's going to be miscommunication over it. There's going to be propaganda that's about it. But eventually things are going to clarify because when Mercury goes retrograde, Mercury is no longer in Leo, where we're pettifogging or we're boasting or we're bragging. No. Mercury's going to go retrograde in Virgo. And Virgo is very discerning, very, very much going to look into this and will take apart every detail and analyze it. Now, if we had a Scorpio influence here, but wait, we always say that that Virgo and Scorpio are both connected somehow, right? Those 2 M's. We have all the writers that are Virgos, right? They love getting to the bottom of things. Agatha Christie, she was a writer, writing mysteries, right? So what do we have? We have these 2 things want to get to the bottom of what Algol did. Okay, so, and Algol is either that beauty that's repressed or it's that desire to behead something, right? That evil notion that it has, heads of state. It's very prominent in the royal family of the UK's, Britain, the British royal family. It's prominent in their charts, and it's quite the interesting combination. So, and then you can see also that we have the Mars and Pluto trine, which is this blue line right here, that perfects at 12 minutes before midnight on the East Coast. That's right. That's right. Fire up those twin engines, right? Just fire them up. We're going places, right? Where are we going? We're going to go where ideas. We're going with ideas. There's some higher ideas that have to be talked about, that have to be revisited. There's some higher ideas that need to be talked about, that we need to go over and think about and do. Now, could it be deceptive? Gemini can be fairly deceptive. However, it's also very versatile, and it's very much a moving target, right? It's just like it's going to just throw tons of stuff out there. Now, what we do with it? Oh, well, who's the ruler of Gemini? That would be Mr. Mercury right here in Leo, and so we're in for quite a surprise, right? We have this at odds with that, so it doesn't matter what side it is, right? It doesn't matter what side it's on. It doesn't matter, does it? Technology, that can figure some things out, right? We can rewind. Rewind the tape, analyze it. The problem is you got AI in here manipulating the tape. You got AI in here manipulating the words. You got AI in here doing everything that in its power to make sure that this Pluto stays in the plutocracy, which is back here, but it won't stay there. It can't stay there. It's got to move forward into Aquarius. And once it moves into Aquarius, it moves into the power for the people. So think about that. That is something that, this chart kind of shows you in a roundabout way. And we're going to come back to this point here because this is a very important part of all of this. So is the reordering of everything. All of these anaretic degrees means that all of these planets are going to be changing signs. Not in the immediate future, but they already have, some of them already have. Black Moon Lilith, the Sun will be, Mars already has, Uranus not until 2025, and same, I believe Uranus might even be 2026. And Neptune is the same. Now, Saturn is also going to be changing signs next year as well. So, but we're going to have Saturn creep up on that point, and we're already seeing Saturn starting to influence Neptune a little bit, and that deepens that spirituality, believe it or not, because that's a takeoff point. That's a portal of sorts, and I've always viewed it like that. It just slows it down. It makes it determined, and it can get a little. It doesn't get dogmatic-y as dogmatic-y as, say, like Jupiter does, but it just, it's a grounding, but it's also a departure point because Saturn represents that cardinal sign of Capricorn. Saturn also represents Aquarius. So we have Aquarius, the Aquarian energy of Saturn also sitting in Pisces as well. And, it's knowing the rules, right? It's knowing the rules. It's bending the rules, but the rules, can cosmic rules be bent? We don't know, right? Depends. It depends on what your perspective is. That's that point right here. So think about that. Now, come Monday, we're going to have the sun entering Leo, and it's going to do so very early in the morning. So not very soon after that chart, 3:44 in the morning. How do you like that, right? So there's my little lion thing that I love, my AI lion. Oh, yeah. That's something that's good for AI, right? And there's the sun. So we have entering the sun. There it is. You can see the 0 degrees right there. Passes that anaretic degree, and it goes into Leo. So, and it's going to be before sunrise. So the sun's going to rise. When you wake up, it will be Leo season. And Leo season is all about waking up and crowing like that rooster, right? We're just going to go and get to it, right? We just, everything is ours. It's ours. It's our thing to do. We shine. We're dramatic. We flare. We flip our hair in the breeze, whatever we have left. Some of us. Anyway, You can see that it's right here, right on that cusp down there, because I do use whole sign houses. Just a reminder for you. I think it's much neater, and it's just a better representation of my chart is with whole sign houses. And I think it agrees with Carrie's chart a little bit better, too. And before I discovered whole sign houses, I really didn't particularly like astrology because it just didn't seem like it represented me as well as it possibly could, because there was too much gray areas and stuff like that. Now, was it scary? Yeah, it was scary because you took my chart in a Placidus house. I'm in 7th house sun. You put it in a whole sign house. Next thing you know, I've got an eclipse in the 8th house. My sun and moon are conjunct. They were conjunct. There was an eclipse about, I want to say, 4:44, about 10 hours before I was born. So, yeah, that was a solar eclipse, too. So, that's what we're looking at. But that's why I use whole sign houses. Now, this Leo season, let's talk about it because we're feeling a little bit more confident, right? This is something that Leo just naturally does. It's a natural feeling. We just feel that confidence. We feel that we can kind of like glide on our own, right? Everybody's taking vacations and stuff. It's up to us to really just keep things going. And we do so with an ease, with a grace, with a certain air of leonine capability where we just don't have to do much. We're just magnificent by being, right? That's what Leos are really good at. They're good at that, and they're good at saying, hey, you over there, just move that just a little bit, okay? Oh, that's perfect. I like that very much. Very good, right? Also good at bragging, and also good at just getting things done. They tend to be naturally lucky, and I'm not sure if that's just a sun thing or something like that, and can be a little creative, too. There's a certain creativity to the fire signs that rubs off on Leo, of course. And, we've got Leo just being Leo. And we're also having sextile with Mars. So we've got dual creativity of the air signs and the creativity of the fire sign. That's going to work well together. So that's something that's going to help us communicate what it is we're doing. And it's going to attract people to us because let's face it, that Leo, that leadership ability is an attraction. And we have Venus in the same house, in the same sign as the sun. And that's going to help that attraction as well. And we have Mercury in the same sign, and that's going to help that communication. So we've got this little grouping here. They're so far apart, it's not going to matter because Mercury is going to race ahead into Virgo by the end of the week. But, hey, it looks good, right? It looks good on paper. It should work. Let's see. Now, check this out. On the 23rd, we've got the sun opposing Pluto. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So, what is it? Both at those degrees, both at that barely 1 degree point, 52 minutes. What do we got going on here, guys? What's the push and pull? See, oppositions, which is what this is, that red line between the two of them, these can work one of two ways. They can either work counter to each other, or they can work in tandem with each other. And somewhere amidst these two poles of well, I'm this way and I'm feeling like the leader of everything. And Pluto's backing up saying, you're the leader of what? You're the leader of what? What happened? What happened last week? What happened last week? Well, we had some strange things happen with that CrowdStrike thing that went down, right? Froze all the airlines and stuff. You're not going anywhere, are you? No. There's a technological thing going on there. Think they figured it out yet? Chances are, somewhere here in the middle of the opposition, they will. Chances are, if we are moving in this direction, now, what direction do you want to move in? I'll tell you what, it's not, as soon as these two are converging, but they're only converging for a brief amount of time. And we know that. The sun never goes retrograde. The sun and moon are the only two planets that don't back up because of our perspective of them. They do not enter a retrograde, because retrograde is actually an optical illusion, because it's when the Earth is conjunct with a planet and then one passes the other. And then it appears to be moving backwards in the sky when it's really not. And then once it catches up, then the normal motion can continue. Okay? So they don't go retrograde. So that's not, those aren't true retrogrades. It's an apparent retrograde. And we do know that Pluto will go into Capricorn. But by the time Pluto's in Capricorn, we're going to have all of our Virgo influences here starting to kick in. And at that point, this is a positive energy for really figuring out what it is we need to do. And this is a personal thing, okay? This isn't like a grand scheme of things for governments or anything like that. We just have to make sure that we are doing our best and putting our best efforts into whatever it is that we happen to believe. Okay, so now we have... This is Mercury down here, see? Supposedly. Kind of like, so you can see how there's like a horizon, and we have Virgo kind of sketched out. This is AI. It's probably not even right. But this is supposed to be indicative of Mercury entering the sign of Virgo, which is what we have on the 25th. Okay, on the 25th, Mercury enters Virgo at 6:42 in the PM. Is that 6? Yes, that is 6. Okay. And that is immediately after the moon is conjunct with Neptune. Now, the moon's conjunct with Neptune there early in the morning. It gives us a great chance to just get up and get crap going. Okay. We can just get stuff moving. These couple of days, Wednesday and Thursday, are going to be incredible. Okay. It's something that something's going to be in the air that we're just going to be able to just bust through the boundaries that are holding us back with Saturn, because the moon's going to be conjunct with Saturn, and that's just going to open the door for us. And how many times have I told you that Saturn is a portal? That Saturn leads us to places. Saturn is going to be, it limits us, but it also provides us with some opportunities, and the opportunities it's providing us with are pretty incredible. Now, if you look at this chart right here, there's actually with the midheaven there, there's a pentagram kicking around in there, and this is something that you really need to you want to make sure you're kind of paying attention to these things, because this opportunity that we have with Saturn, it's based on almost a very near conjunction with Neptune. And it's spiritual in nature, right? It's taken us to higher places, and it's going to take us to a much higher place. And we're going to be able to use intuition and action to really push our individual agendas forward, right? It's a great chance for us to set ourselves up for success. And that's basically what we're going to be doing right here. So whatever's going to happen right in these couple of days on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, that's going to determine pretty much your success for the rest of this summer. So you really want to make sure that you're paying attention and you're putting in the work and do the work. Do the work. We tell you all the time, do the work. Here we have Mercury entering Virgo. Pretty cool, right? That's where we start thinking differently. Okay, it's no longer thinking about, fame, fortune, personalities, or anything like that. It's like, no, what is this really about? Once we take this filter out, this cult of personality filter out, for the lack of a better reason, lack of a better word, phrasing or whatever. This is very much focused on the star, right? The star, whether it's us or whether it's somebody else, whether it's what we believe in or who we believe in or what we don't. Saturn's here to take and throw that away. It's like, no, your beliefs change right here. Your beliefs need to change, because we're being challenged at this point to come up with a new set of beliefs, because as we progress into the next year, we want to make sure that we are positioned to be in a spot that's going to promote society and a form of unity like we haven't really seen for a while. And there's a couple things that unite us. And there's a commonality there that there's enough of it that we really should not be giving away what it is that we stand for as a people right here, Aquarius, as a nation, as a state, as a group, as a social grouping. That's what should not be given up, okay? Mercury entering Virgo is the first place where we're going to stop and think about this, all right? So now, look at that. That's the Sun and Mars, right? Woo! What are they doing together? I don't know. Let's check it out. So we got the Sun, we got the Mars. That's that perfection of the sextile. Oh boy, what's going to be forced on us, or what are we going to resist that's being forced on us, huh? Because that sextile there it works both ways, right? These two things are helping each other. This is you. This is where you're at. If you know those maps that they used to have in malls that would say you are here. Well, you are here. The Sun represents us, right? It's our ego. It's our self-image. It's our willpower. It's our personal power. It's a lot of the sense of purpose. Yes, our sense of purpose can be embodied right here by this Sun in Leo. And boy, we like looking good, right? We have Mars back here. Mars is in Gemini. Now, there's ideas, there's communication, there's things that have to get put out there. Can we utilize them properly? Can we do that with these things here? Now, mind you, you'd normally be like, well, yes, we can put all this stuff out here. And if this is about, propaganda or what we believe in or what we're trying to make other people believe, then this will be good because this allows us to say whatever it is we want. Not so fast. The ruler of Gemini is Mercury, and Mercury is in Virgo. Now, remember, Mercury is the ruler of both Virgo and Gemini, and Mercury is exalted and in domicile in the sign of Virgo. So Mercury is very comfortable here. This is this is a very good place for Mercury to be at. So this is what we're looking at. This is what we're doing, right? So what will Mercury find in Virgo? Well, Mercury will not believe anything that's being told to him by Mars or Uranus at this point, because that's an opposition. That's like, nope, stop, hold on, full stop. We're going to look into this. We have to look into this. We have to look into this objectively. We have to do it scientifically, and we have to do it for the benefit of other people, because Virgo is a sign of service. It's a sign of helping people. Doctors, surgeons, yes, they're not there to harm people. They're there to help people. Nurses, helping people. Writers, helping people, kind of. Airing their own things for the benefit of other people to gauge their lives by, right? Something like that. Think about it. Virgo, it's a very, very accomplished, it's a very disciplined sign. And it's disciplined. It's also versatile. It can do a lot of different things, but it's highly driven. Think about it. Michael Jackson, Beyonce, they're Virgos, right? That's crazy. That is very, very crazy. The King of Pop and the Queen Bee, just both here. It's like, whoa, okay. And there's no disputing that they were masters at what they did. You just can't. And the versatility that they showed was just incredible, despite whatever personal things that you may think or anything like that. That's incredible. So we have this right here. This is not so fast. This is like helping in what way? In what way are you going to help? And in what way? Now, taken personally, oh my goodness, just take this personally and put yourself out there and broadcast what it is that you have to or you want. And believe me, you need to get the stuff out there. You don't have to worry about the analytics that are going on, because that's not for you to decide. That's going to be decided at a later time. If you were to take a look at it and just really look at it objectively, you would see that this desire point right here, the Pluto and the Pluto, Mars, and dark moon Lilith, they're all there to provide you with the firepower you need to get this message through. Okay, this message right here is this is not going. Mercury in Virgo is there to help you refine the message. It's there to help you make the message better, and you're going to be constantly checking yourself with that messaging as you're coming out, just like it's going to check messaging at a national level, right? So, with that being said, Chiron, is that really you? Yeah, that is Chiron. That's taken from Wikipedia. All right. And Chiron goes retrograde, and Chiron happens to go retrograde on Friday. So on Friday, Chiron's going retrograde, and this is going to kick off, not necessarily, think about what Chiron is. Chiron is deep-seated wounds. Chiron is also how we can help other people too. So now we're going to be reviewing what it is that we do and what we do to help others, what we do to help ourselves, what we do to address the things that we feel like we have inside of us that really aren't, what's the word? There's something there that's cathartic. We're looking for some catharsis there with how we, by helping others, we help ourselves, right? Once it goes retrograde, we start to review that. All right. It's so far out there, so far out in the cosmos that sometimes it just really doesn't, you didn't really, that picture of Chiron, it's small, right? It's small, but it's still that energy that's out there. And that energy does have repercussions and meanings. That's why we include it in our forecasts, right? So you're going to be reviewing how you can help yourself and how you can help others. How you can, you don't want to revisit things that have happened to you in the past, because unless you're going through therapy and you're doing it in a very guided and controlled manner. So that is something that's really worth considering as we come into this retrograde season. And that brings us into a bigger discussion of retrogrades, because now we're going to talk about the coming Mercury retrograde. Now, I've got some hen scratch on here that I do with my finger on a picture, and you can see right here that we're going to talk about Mercury going retrograde on August 5th. Okay, so on August 5th, Mercury is going to go retrograde. And now that's that little R with the prescription thing, right? That's a retrograde symbol. It goes retrograde at 4 degrees, 6 minutes of Virgo. Okay, now, Mercury's also going to, when Mercury's retrograde, it will be retrograde until the 28th of August. And I didn't write that on there, and I'm kicking myself, but I didn't have to, because that's my daughter's birthday, so it's pretty easy to remember. And it's going to go retrograde all the way back to 21 degrees, 24 minutes of Leo. Now, if you think about this week, right? This week, the week before, and the week before that, that's all within this period here. Right now, Mercury is just hitting the spot right here of 0. It's going to go back 9 whole degrees in this sign. Now, remind you, when Mercury stations retrograde, they call it stationing because it appears to slow down. And as it slows down, it doesn't move hardly at all. So now Mercury is coming to a stop right here at this 1st degree. Now, this 1st degree is going to be very important. We're going to look into this next week, because this is going to have a very important message for us, because it's not going to leave it's going to stick right at this 1st degree, and it's going to very slowly get over to the 4th degree. And then when it gets to the 4th degree, it comes to a complete stop, and it just goes, whoa. So we're going to look at these 4 degree points, and we're going to just look at where it's at right here, because it's going to be gathering a lot of information. And it's going to be informing a lot of stuff going on with both Jupiter right here and Mars up here. So this retrograde is going to be very interesting. So now we give you the standard warnings about retrogrades, right? No new purchases, no new contracts, blah, 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 right? No new tech devices. And stuff is going to break down, and communication is going to be difficult, right? That's why we got to get it done this week. Mercury starts slowing down on Saturday. You'll start to see the slowdown begin until it reaches that point on the 5th. All right. So the last part I want to show you is, do you see this right here? This is called the shadow period. This is from 21 to 4 degrees. This is where Mercury is going to backtrack. Now, if I go back to the other screen, you'll see once Mercury's in this position right here, it was already in a square with Uranus. It's going to go back, revisit the square, then come back again and revisit the square. It's 3 times. That's 3 times a square. The first square is how we're talking about how difficult it is, what we're going to be, what was communicated, what I said before, right? Second time, and then the third time. The third time will be a cathartic motion. Once it approaches it the second 2 times, it's already been the Virgo. It has new information. It didn't have the Virgo information before. Now it has the Virgo information. Now it's going to be imparting that information on the others. Now we'll see Venus will be conjunct with a retrograde Mercury. Then Mercury will pass Venus again. That's 2 times, 3 times, right? We had the second time way back the first time. But that's going to be 2 times for that. And the sun, by all rights, should also cross paths with Mercury twice, because that's what happens during a retrograde. The sun catches up with it, and then it starts to move forward again. It'll lag a little bit, and then Mercury will start lagging and lagging and lagging, and then it will start catching up. So that's what we got for you. All right. So this shadow period is going to be very important because we're going to be reviewing that algol event, those algol events, like the CrowdStrike and the cyber stuff that went on, and other things that happened with the Uranus conjunct with algol with Mars. We're going to be reviewing that. We're going to be reviewing some other things too. So that's what we got for you. It's a busy week, right? All right, here, let me show you this little picture here. That's me anyway. You know what I'm going to do, though? I'm going to take and stop screen sharing. It's probably going to catch that at the end of the video. I don't know. Should I let it do that? Might as well. Let's go out on this image. I got to fix that, though, because the hair up there is just bugging me. It just kind of cropped it out a little bit, and it's like, well, it's just, there's not much up there, but at least there's a couple strands that should be in the picture. All right. Hey, everybody, have a happy week. Happy astrocatting. Take care. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all that neat stuff down on the bottom, okay? Thank you so much. Bye.